Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ferris News 9 evening broadcast. My name is Josh Kang.
And I'm Quinn Belton. Tonight we'll be discussing some major events of the Cold War during the 1980s to commemorate the fall of the Soviet Union. If we look at the 1980s as one day, we can highlight some of the major events of that decade.
That's right. Well, in the morning of the 1980s, on Monday, March 30, 1981, President Reagan and three others were shot and wounded by John Hinckley Jr. as they were leaving a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel in our capital. Reagan suffered a punctured lung from a bullet and was rushed to the George Washington University Hospital in his armored motorcade. After surgery, he left the hospital on the 13th day as the first serving U.S. president to survive being shot in an assassination attempt. In fact, he even made jokes as he was going into surgery, saying, "I hope you're all Republicans." Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity on June 21, 1982, and he is imprisoned at the St. Elizabeth Hospital in the D.C. to this day. Now, what else do you have for us, Quinn?
The time is now 1986, February 25th through March 6th. The 27th Congress of the Communist Party, Mikhail Gorbachev, outlined the reforms known as perestroika, the restructuring of the Soviet economy and political systems, and glasnost, the freedom of information and the openness of the government. While not implemented at this time, perestroika and glasnost would be very important policies that greatly affected the Cold War. The idea behind perestroika was to make socialism work better in order to meet the demands of the Soviet people. Political side of perestroika, Gorbachev intended to reduce corruption and make the government seem more democratic with multi-candidate elections. This policy instead ended up weakening the Soviet government, as there were many who resisted this policy, causing all of the reforms to become changed from originally designed to something that did not work well at all. Glasnost was intended to reduce censorship of the media and allow people to speak their minds more about the government and not hide things from the past and present. This backfired as a lot of unrest was created when the people found out about the atrocities Stalin committed and the current state of the Soviet economy. With these reforms, Gorbachev was credited as being a major contributor to the downfall of the Soviet Union.
Now to Austin Roach for our weather.
Thanks, Josh. Just coming back from Chernobyl, the weather looks to be slightly overcast with a 100% chance of radiation. Midday today, in 1986, a steam explosion happened in a nuclear power plant in Chernobyl. 2 Chernobyl plant workers died on the night of the accident, and a further 28 people died within a few weeks as a result of acute radiation poisoning. The interaction of very hot fuels with cooling water led to fuel fragmentation, along with rapid steam production and an increase in pressure. The overpressure caused a 1,000-ton covered plate of a reactor to become partially detached, rupturing the fuel channels and jamming all the control rods, which by the time were only halfway down. Intense steam generation then spread throughout the whole core, which was fed by water dumped into the core due to the rupture of the emergency cooling circuit, causing a steam explosion and releasing fission particles into the atmosphere. The resulting steam explosion and fires released at least 5% of the radioactive reactor core into the atmosphere. This explosion was the result of a flawed reactor design and inadequately trained personnel. This incident in the future will end up causing 345,000 people to be evacuated, and as well as this incident was the largest uncontrolled release into the environment ever recorded for any civilian operation.
Hey man, you okay?
No, I'm not feeling well.
There seems to be some, technical difficulties. We apologize for any inconvenience. See you after the commercial break.
Well, no, not that Star Wars, but on that note, why is a droid mechanic never lonely? Because he's always making new friends. That wasn't funny. Well, President Ronald Reagan has instituted a laser missile defense program known as Star Wars in order to intercept ICBMs, or otherwise known as intercontinental ballistic missiles, to protect our great nation against those darn Russian communists. This directly affects you because, well, if a bomb hits you, you will die. If you want to prevent this, buy these war bonds and to support Reagan's Star Wars program in order to ensure a safer and brighter tomorrow. So buy these war bonds today.
Welcome back.
And now we'll go to our field anchor CJ for her coverage of the falling of the Berlin Wall. CJ?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, East Berliners and West Berliners are celebrating the fall of the Berlin Wall. Just moments ago, on November 9th, 1989, East Germany's communist leaders gave the word for the gates of the Berlin Wall to be opened, allowing East Berliners and West Berliners to be united after 3 decades of separation. The Berlin Wall was originally instituted by the German Democratic Republic of East Germany on August 13, 1961, in order to keep out the influences of fascism and the remnants of Nazi Germany that still seem to exist in West Germany. This border was part of the symbol of the Iron Curtain, which separated Western Europe and the Eastern Bloc of communist states during the Cold War. Now, the public celebrates this huge step in German reunification as they chip away the pieces of the wall which had symbolized the painful separation that had endured for 30 years.
Thank you, CJ.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Ferris News 9 Evening Broadcast.
I'm Gwen Belton,
And I'm Josh Kane.
signing off now.
Good night. And thank you, CJ.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Belton,
And I'm Josh King.
signing off now.
Thank you. Have a good night. I messed up. Sorry. Hey, you okay, man?
No, I'm not feeling very good.
Commercial.
This directly affects you because, well, if a mother...
Dude.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, let me